Heart disease can be a silent problem, building up for years without you even knowing it. But its warning signs, they don't have to be. So today, we're going to build a practical guide to preventing it. This is all about giving you the tools, the knowledge to take control of your own heart health, starting right now. Okay, so first things first, we need to get one thing straight: the difference between a heart attack and heart disease. A heart attack, that's the sudden, scary emergency. But coronary heart disease, that's the long, slow process that causes it, something that builds up silently over many, many years. Our focus is on spotting that slow process long before it ever becomes an emergency. The condition we're really diving into is coronary heart disease. It all comes down to the coronary arteries. These are the crucial blood vessels that feed your heart muscle the oxygen and nutrients it needs to keep pumping. So it's pretty simple. When these arteries are in trouble, your heart is in trouble. Let's break this down with a really simple analogy. Just think of your heart as a powerful, non-stop pump. It just works and works. And like any machine, this pump needs fuel to run. Well, your blood vessels, those are the pipes that deliver everything your heart needs to keep doing its job day in and day out. So, what happens if those pipes start to get clogged up? Well, the fuel supply gets cut off, right? The pump starts to sputter, it struggles, and eventually it can break down completely. This breakdown, this sudden failure of the pump because of a blocked pipe, that is exactly what a heart attack is. All right, so how do we know if our pipes are starting to get clogged? Well, the good news is your body usually sends out warning signals. The real key here is learning how to actually listen to them. Now, this is where it gets a little tricky, and it's so important to understand. On one side, you've got the classic signs we all hear about, that pressure or burning feeling in your chest when you're active, which crucially gets better when you sit down and rest. But look at the other side. Sometimes the only sign is what feels like a stomach ache that pops up when you're exercising or under stress. It's so easy to just brush this off as indigestion, but it can be a really dangerous and often overlooked warning from your heart. So when should you be really suspicious? This checklist is your guide. If you get that chest or stomach pain, specifically during activity, like climbing stairs or walking fast, and it disappears when you rest, that's a huge red flag. This is especially true if you already have other risk factors, like diabetes or high blood pressure. Or maybe for you, it's psychological stress that brings on that burning feeling. Whatever it is, you can't ignore these patterns. Okay, let's turn the page and get a little more personal. We need to talk about your risk factors. It's time to take an honest look at what might be in your own medical story. Now, here are the heavy hitters, the major risk factors. And the most important thing to get here is that these aren't just separate issues. Oh, no. They actually work together. They team up to speed up the damage. High blood pressure puts constant strain on your pipes. High blood sugar from diabetes damages their walls. And smoking, that just poisons the lining, making it super easy for gunk to build up. You see how it works? It's like a dangerous chain reaction. And let's make this really tangible. For men in Indonesia, if your waist measures over 90 centimeters, that's classified as obesity. And this has nothing to do with how you look. It's a specific medical number that points to a much higher risk. And for women in Indonesia, that number is 80 centimeters. It's such a simple measurement to take, but if you're above this number, it's a very strong signal that you've got a major risk factor for heart disease. It's simple, but the implications are serious. This right here is such a key concept. A heart attack feels sudden, like it came out of nowhere. But the disease that causes it is the exact opposite. It's the result of years, sometimes decades, of plaque just silently building up inside those pipes. You're basically saving up damage over a long, long time. The heart attack is just the day the bill finally comes due. But here's the good news. You don't have to wait for that bill to show up. You can check the account balance, so to speak. And you do that with a clear action plan, starting with getting the right checkup for you. This is just so important. A generic one-size-fits-all health checkup can easily miss the specific signs of heart disease. You hear these stories, right? Someone has a heart attack just weeks after a clear checkup. Why does that happen? A lot of the time, it's because the checkup wasn't designed for their personal risks. The tests you get have to match your profile. So what are the options? Well, an EKG is a great starting point. It's a baseline test that just records your heart's electrical rhythm. But let's say you have high-risk factors like diabetes. A stress test, which watches your heart while you're exercising, might be what's needed to find a problem that an EKG would miss while you're just sitting there. And for someone with long-term high blood pressure, an echocardiogram can actually look for physical changes to the heart itself, like thickening walls. You see? The right test really depends on your story. But picking the right test isn't just your doctor's job. It's a partnership. To get the best care, you have to be a smart, active player in your own health, and that all comes down to how you communicate. When you go to the doctor, don't hold back. Seriously, tell them everything, even that indigestion that only shows up when you're rushing around. Talk about what you're worried about, list your risk factors, and ask questions. Ask, hey doc, based on my risks, is this the best test for me? Or what does this result actually mean for my day-to-day life? Your doctor is trying to solve a puzzle, and they need all the pieces you can give them. Okay, let's bust a huge myth. A lot of people think my blood vessels are smooth on the inside, so cholesterol can't stick to them. But that's not really how it works. The reality is, cholesterol can actually slip between the cells of the vessel wall and build up from the inside out. Plus, things like smoking and high blood pressure create tiny little injuries on that smooth lining, creating rough spots where plaque can build up even faster. So, knowing the science is one thing, but actually acting on it, that's what really matters. And this quote just gets to the heart of the issue. This disease is largely preventable. The risk factors are crystal clear. So the real question we have to ask ourselves is, why would we take a risk that is so obvious? Prevention is a choice we make every day. Now we focused almost entirely on prevention, but we absolutely have to be prepared for the worst-case scenario. What do you do if you see someone collapse from a sudden cardiac arrest? In those moments, every single second is critical. The steps are actually pretty simple, and they save lives. First, recognize the signs. Someone suddenly collapses, and they are not responsive. Second, and this is the most important step, call for emergency medical help right away. Don't delay. Then, if you're trained, you start chest compressions. Doing CPR can literally double or even triple a person's chance of survival. It's that powerful. But let's bring it all back to our main message. Taking action in an emergency is heroic, no question. But the real goal is to never let it get to that point in the first place. Preventing the disease is always, always better, safer, and a whole lot less painful than trying to treat a disaster. Don't wait for the emergency. And that's what it all comes down to, really. Your future heart health isn't going to be decided by some random event years from now. No, it's being decided right now by the knowledge you gain and the questions you start asking today. So the only thing left to ask is, are you ready?